Hey folks, Ariel over here with a little bee update. Several folks have been asking about how the honeybees are doing, and I haven't looked in their hives for 2 months or something like that. So we're going to do that today. There's nothing in particular that I need to check on today, though I'm thinking this hive box that we're standing here beside is probably really close to possibly running out of space in there. So that's the main thing I want to check. Maybe some of the others are, but we have 4 thriving colonies. If you're new here, welcome. If this doesn't look like a beehive you're used to seeing, this is a land style. They kind of come from a Russian style of beehive, and they seem to work very well in our climate in particular. I picked them because when I was trying to teach myself about beekeeping, I figured the best fit for our climate was going to be knowledge from beekeepers in Canada, Alaska, and Russia. And so I read a lot of things from folks in all of those places. Anyway, these horizontal hives have worked very well for us. There are free plans to build your own at horizontalhive.com. I have no affiliation with them other than I like their product. I did not build our own. We were busy, so I bought them. They also sell them, but they got free plans to do your own. And I probably don't need a bee suit because these ladies have been super chill, but especially when I want to talk to the camera, I just find it most relaxing to not worry about them getting caught in my hair, because that's really the only thing I've found. Usually the only time I've gotten stung is when a breeze blew one into my hair, and there is a little breeze out here today. If you see this cool hood that I can actually see through, I don't know what angle, there's some bright sun when I look toward the camera, it's showing. This thing is called a clear view hood. This I am a huge fan of. Again, no affiliation with them other than if you are used to looking through like the mesh down here, having this clear piece of plexiglass is awesome for finding eggs and stuff. They are sold by flowhive.com. I'm not actually a great big fan of their hive design. I don't think it's entirely natural. I know some people love them, but this clear view hood is awesome. So in this hive, the entrance is over here. So this is the back end. Just going to start gently looking in here to see if they're full clear to the back end or not. And they're not. There's ladies back here working. Yeah, I see. They've drawn some comb, mostly on that second side I'm showing you. Just a teeny bit on the other side, which was clear to the back. So they are drawing some comb, so we'll see how close they are to needing that. Now, last time you saw a bee video from us, we had 4 colonies. We have 4 colonies now. They're almost all fully drawn and have a little bit, just a few capped honeys on. So they're not out of space because they have at least 2 frames that one's very light. There's only a teeny bit of capped honey on it. In between, so this is my 3rd year having bees myself. I did help, my dad some with his when I was a small child. This one has a little bit of weight to it. I'll turn it where I can see it. A lot of capped honey on that side, a little bit on the other one. I like just watching them work. They distract me. Anyway, the first winter we went through, we had 100% survival. We had 2 hives. Both of them survived a very long, very cold winter. One of the reasons I'm a big fan of this style of hive, this is like an insulated house. You can find some of the other videos where I talk about how it's put together and the attic venting and attic insulation in the winter and so on. Hi there, little lady. The second winter, which was last winter, boy, this is heavy. Check that out. Not sure what the other side looks like. No, the other side, I don't know if you can see it, had a lot of nectar. It's almost full of nectar, but not all capped. And the side you're looking at now has mostly capped honey, most of the way down. That's a beautiful sight. So with that being pretty full, I'm going to assume they're pretty full from there to here with either brood or honey. They have 3 empty frames, so they're not out of space. That's good. That'll probably, we're getting close to winter here. So that will probably last them the whole winter, or last them for space till winter starts. Also will be plenty of honey. These individual frames are heavy when they're full. This is almost all capped honey on the side I'm looking at, and it was mostly capped on the side you were looking at. Isn't that a thing of beauty? So it looks like they've been filling them up nice and orderly from the front to the back. Another thing I love about this style of hives is you're never picking up the whole frame or the whole, box of frames, where that frame is so heavy by itself. Really glad I'm never picking up more than one frame at a time. Another super heavy frame. Capped honey on my side, mostly capped honey on the other side. Okay, we're going to quit bugging them here. Maybe. Might pull one more frame. It's always tempting to keep looking. Anyway, so we had 100% survival our first winter. Super long, cold winter. Last winter, it was not super long. It was not super cold. We got multiple thaws through the year. Yeah, you ladies are busy. I see that. Packing in the nectar. Got honey at the top. Trying to see if I've got nectar the whole way to the bottom there. Close. I'm going to just see if there's some brood on the next frame because I'm curious. Not super long, not super cold. We got thaws all winter long, which is terrible for a lot of things. When you live in a place like this, you actually want it to stay below freezing. Thaws make a mess. And we went into winter with 4 colonies because ours had reproduced themselves. Yep, I'm up to brood on there. The bees are so thick it's hard to see on that side. Lots of little eggs and little grubs. So they've got honey packed around the top, and you can see they kind of like having their babies in a circle, whichever side you're looking at. I'm just going to let them sit there so you can watch them for a minute and I'm not so distracted. Last year we lost 4 out of 4 colonies. Not entirely sure why. They were alive till mid-February. I know that because on sunny days I'd see some come out and take their potty breaks and so on. And then we had a sunny day and all of a sudden there was no bees. When I checked on them, they all still had gobs of honey, and there was no evidence of disease or anything else. So when I could not find any reason for them to be dead, such as starvation, mold, cold, anything like that, I asked my father what he thought would be the reason they died. And he said, well, that's colony collapse disorder, which unfortunately is not a helpful term because it really just means they're dead and we don't know why. But anyway, so we lost all of them last winter, which was kind of discouraging. Bought 1 colony from the same fellow I did before this spring. It went into this box. This was why I was worried about this one being the most full, because it started with the most bees, and we split it 3 times. We are back to having 4 colonies. Last I looked, they were all doing well, and now that I'm looking right now, they look like they're doing well. They've got brood clear to, based on my past experiences, without, disturbing them the whole way down. If there's brood to here, there's probably brood till somewhere like 3 frames shy of the door, which would give me something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 11, 12 frames of brood probably in there with honey on top of each of them. Then there's usually honey here, and there's honey at the back end, but they still have some space. Last year, we had a fabulous, fabulous bee year as far as the summer was concerned. We had a lot of moisture. I think we got, I don't know, almost like 8 inches of something, or of rain. Maybe it was almost 9 across the course of the year. That's like 3 years worth of normal rainfall. By comparison, we're at like 2 1/4 inches for this summer. anyway, that seemed like there was loads of flower, loads of nectar. Every beekeeper in the area said they had lots and lots of honey. They all filled their hives, like to the end wall. I think I pulled honey either 3 or 4 times in the middle of summer, which was never my plan. I only planned to harvest once in the fall. And the only reason I did is because I checked and realized they were completely out of space in all 4 hives. And they were trying to swarm because they didn't have any space anymore. They were a little upset and angry, actually, not nearly so chill like this, I think just from being overly crowded. So I kept pulling some frames out, spinning them, and giving them back to them so they had some space to work. They actually had some combs collapse because they were building brand new comb and loading it so quick with so much nectar and honey that the sheer weight collapsed it. And I don't think it was the heat so much as the weight, because it was hotter this summer and cooler last summer, and we had no comb collapses that I'm aware of. Anyway, so I had to relieve the hives of honey several times, but they still went into winter with gobs of honey beside them, on top of them, on the other end. And when they died, there was a lot of honey in there still, including above them. So I don't think they starved. My best guess is that because we had so many thaws, because it was such an unfortunately warm winter, that they broke their cluster too many times on too many warm days and used up too much energy or couldn't get back together. I'm not sure, but it was discouraging to lose all 4. We are certainly hoping to not lose all 4 this year. So we had 100% survival and then 100% loss. I'd be happy if at least 2 out of 4 make the winter this year. We'll see. Let's go check on another house. It is getting toward evening, so you'll probably notice the shadows are getting pretty long here. This was the first split that I did this year off of that one. You ladies feeling chill? Can I leave my hood down? Yeah, I see you're in there busy working. I know, I think you're beautiful. This one, if that one wasn't overflowing and out of space, I kind of doubt any of them are, but we're gonna check. So all total last year, between I pulled honey, like I said, multiple times through the summer because the hives were overflowing. They've got comb build out right to the end. At least on my side, yeah, on both sides. This frame is empty, but they do have it drawn. You ladies sound a little buzzy. Let me not have to interrupt the camera by getting a bee out of my hair. If you have really short hair, that doesn't happen. Anyway, and then, because then I had honey left when they died out and left a lot of honey, and so some of that I spun this spring. But all total, the 4 colonies produced like 18 gallons of honey last year, which was incredible. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. You ladies don't have a lot of space left. This side, there's some capped honey and nectar. A little bit of nectar on the other side, so maybe they only have like a frame and a half left that are empty. Let's see here. It's close to full. Anyway, 18 gallons of honey. My goal when I got bees was to have them around because they're amazing creatures. Wanted to give them a good place to live. Want them to pollinate things around here, as well as all our massive variety of bumblebees and other wild bees. This one's fairly heavy. Capped honey at the top and nectar, mostly nectar on the other side. Yeah, you guys don't have a lot of space left. Wonder if you can make it a few more weeks till it gets really cold. This is beginning of October. It is normally really cold now, but instead we've still been having 70 and even 80 degree days, which is fairly insane. It should be snowing, so that could change at any moment. Very heavy frame. Lots of capped, about half capped honey on this side, clear full of nectar that's curing. I see the other side, a patch of capped honey and curing nectar. You ladies have been busy. So, yeah, my goal was to have bees around because they're fascinating, have them pollinate stuff, and then hopefully occasionally have them, have a little honey to spare to share with us. Always making sure they have plenty first. I don't feed them any sugar or anything. They've always had their own honey. even if one spring I had to feed back some honey because the winter kept going and going. Got capped honey, little nectar, same there. Anyway, so to have 18 gallons was a lot. That will give us, even if I don't pull any honey this year, which it looks like I will be pulling a little bit because I hear you don't want to leave too big of a volume beyond what they could possibly use for the year. Or in a really cold area, this may not be an issue in warmer areas, but in a really cold area, it can, they can have not enough mass of bees to keep it warm from what I've read, and have too much mass of honey like collecting the cold and holding it and being kind of a cold sink. So you don't want to, oh, I've got a little yellow jacket here trying to invade the beehive. Let's help them out. I don't mind yellow jackets at all, as long as they stay out of the beehives, because they predate other bugs we don't want. Very heavy frame. Lots of capped honey and nectar on both sides. I don't know, I think the camera should show you where they have it capped and finished. Is that my same yellow jacket? But all this is full of nectar as well that they mustn't have quite cured enough to cap yet. Anyway, so if we don't pull any honey at all this year, it's fine. We will have plenty still for all of our cooking and eating needs from last year. But from what I'm seeing in here, they made more than probably should leave in here for this winter as well, so they don't have quite so much volume to keep warm. Again, that's honey and nectar. Nectar curing down below the honey. Just wanted to go till I saw some brood so I could have an idea of how big their brood chamber is. Anyway, overall, the only real disappointment with the bees was losing all 4 colonies last year. We're really hoping for a good cold winter this year. It's much easier on people, bees, plants, everything. I think I might have some brood going on here now. Yeah, there's some hatching brood. This whole circle here looks like it just hatched, but there's a few left here that are chewing their way out right now. That's pretty cool. See what you're doing on this side. Well, kind of the same. Looks like this brood mostly just hatched because I see just a couple left hatching. Am I already seeing new eggs? There's so many bees, it's hard to see through them. Yep, there's already new eggs in there. So that side hatched and they're busy re-laying eggs. Anyway, so I'm not going to go any further. It means they've got plenty of brood if it goes from here to most of the way to the front. But yeah, we hope for a really, really cold winter. I know somebody said, and I think it was meant with the intentions of I hope you have a good winter, but they hoped we had a warm winter with not too much snow and too much cold. That's actually, when you live in a cold, snowy place, like the hardest kind of winter you could have. I take it in the vein it was meant that it was meant to be nice. But what we actually need and what the bees seem to thrive best with and so on is sustained cold, no warm-ups, no thaws, and nice deep snow. It insulates the plants, insulates the ground, and no thaws lets them just kind of take a nice rest and not be disrupted. So this colony is looking really good. Once again, I have brood, older hatching ones, and new little eggs right here. They usually come up to here, so that would give me 4, 8, 10 or so frames of brood in here, and honey most of the way to the end. I think as late as we are in the year, that last frame and a half of space they have should give them room to bring in any remaining nectar. There's not a lot of flowers and such left blooming. They're definitely still foraging, but goldenrod's long done. It was 20 degrees last night, so there's just not a lot of stuff left. So I think they'll be fine till I actually come back and tuck them in with their attic insulation and stuff for the winter. I don't think they'll run out of space. Let's check the third one. now we're down at the third one, closest to the tiny house. And that doorway's as busy right now as I've seen at any point all year. I mean, they've been busy all summer, but that's really busy. They must be really liking the, there's actually a patch of solid clover and alfalfa kind of from here over that way for a bit. And they, I think that's one of the last flowers they're getting anything off of for the year. So, there's a yellow jacket that got in on top and somebody killed and took care of. So, let's see how everybody else is looking. I think the camera gets hard because there's getting to be sun and shadows, but if you can see how busy the air in front of that door is, it's incredible. So, once again, we've got comb drawn out right to the end here, but this is empty. Looks like some ladies are getting it tidied up and ready to fill, but they aren't out of space. And this is what was so crazy. All last summer, I'd look in and they'd have honey clear to here. They'd be mad and angry because they were crowded in all 4 hives. I'd pull some frames, spin them, put them back so they had space, and I'd check like 8-10 days later, and they'd be overflowing right to the end again. It was incredible. It was like the heaviest honey flow I've ever heard of. This one's got a little weight to it. Mostly some pollen packed in. Teeny bit of nectar. Not a whole lot of work there. So they've got 2 empty frames for the most part. So definitely plenty of space. While I'm in here, I always just like to watch my ladies for a minute. Be sure everyone looks healthy. No malformed bees. No weird wings. Nothing like that. A few of their wings get a little tattered as they wear themselves out working hard all summer, but none of like the crippled wings. Anything like that. I just find watching bees fascinating. This one's pretty light too. Getting just a little bit of pollen packed in there. Yeah, you ladies all look wonderful. You do. In case the camera can hear the meowing, our bees do not meow. That's one of the cats who wants me to pet her, not the bees. So I think as we go through here, each hive should get progressively less full because they each had a later start as I did multiple splits. Though the second one was almost more full than the first one. Another one that's really light. Got that drawn and ready to go, but there's really nothing on. So these guys are definitely not out of space, which is what I was hoping for, because they've got 4 empty frames there still. That one's mostly empty. I don't even have to pull it out. It's light. Let's see where we go to. There's a little weight on this one. Pollen and nectar, not much capped honey. I may have to share a little from some of the older hives. There's some weight on there. I can see some capped honey on the top of my corner and the top of your corner. If any of these latter splits don't have quite enough honey, we'll just share some from those first 2 hives with them instead of harvesting any for ourselves. There's a little grub that I haven't seen before. What that guy is. Occasionally, mostly I've had little earwigs. Mostly last summer I had a real earwiggy year, and they'd get up here in the attic and kind of hang out. Lots of cool pollen colors there. Let me see if I can show this to the camera. Now if you can see, depending on what angle I turn it there, all the different kinds of pollen from the different kinds of flowers. And there's some capped honey up top. Yeah, I see you, I know, but I'm busy right now. Yeah. You probably don't want to come meow the bees too much. More honey up top. Boy, these ladies have packed in a ton of pollen. It's 2 frames in a row. They're like 3/4 pollen and some honey. Like I said, we may do a little socialistic redistribution from the older hives to this one and the last one if I think they need it by the time they go to bed. This one's heavier. Really nice heavy band of honey there at the top, but not super deep yet. Very busily working. And these guys didn't start that far behind the second colony we looked at, so I'm a little surprised they don't have more honey in here. That one's actually mostly empty. I haven't seen any brood yet. I might keep going here because there's a chance that the reason this doesn't have much honey and that door is so busy is something happened to this colony and the other ones are emptying them. Oh, well, that one's heavy, so I probably spoke and worried too soon. That one's got a beautiful chunk of honey on my side. Some capped honey on that side. But the one you're looking at right now has a lot. It's a pretty heavy frame. Oh, maybe I just worry too much about them. With beekeeping, I feel, and a lot of animal and plant husbandry, I feel like you're always just trying to learn everything you can, make the best guess you can, and then hope they'll be all right with it. Here we got some hatching brood. Nice thick honey band at the top. Looks like the same on the other side. I'm gonna look into the sun to see if there's eggs. Yep, there's new little eggs in there. So never mind. These guys just hadn't got quite as full yet as the older colonies. Looks like they got good brood, healthy bees, little teeny eggs. I never bother trying to find the queen. As long as I see eggs, I know there's one in there, so I don't worry about her. But that does mean this colony is smaller than the others right now because they've got brood probably from here to here, which would be like 6 frames of brood versus 10 or 11 or 12. Got lots of nearly ready to hatch brood on my side and the other side. See if there's anybody hatching I can show you. These look like they're about ready to. Can't see any actively hatching, at least that aren't covered in other bees right now. So I guess never mind that idea. Last year at one point I got to hold a hatching queen in my hand because we had a hive that swarmed, and I happened to check on it the day the queen was hatching, and I could feel her heartbeat through the cell. It was pretty incredible feeling. This is heavy. Well, these ladies are busy. Lots more brood. Good honey band at the top. We've made lots of fat grubs and capped brood and little babies. They're just so fascinating to watch. I'm not going to disturb them clear to the front here. They look like they're doing fine, though they don't have quite as much honey as some of the others, so here whenever it decides to get good and properly cold, this colony I might might decide to steal some frames of honey from one of the other two and just bolster their stores here a little bit for the winter. Boy, the yellow jackets sure show up quick. That I haven't had much of, but maybe it's the time of year. Okay, I'm leaving you all alone. I know you're working hard. I'm sure you don't need me. Let's go check the fourth colony. Okay, this is the fourth colony, and it's just gone into the shade of the trees here for the evening. This I would expect to be the smallest of the three. Oh, I see some ladies right out to the end there. Once again, the main reason I use a hood is because it's a little bit of a breeze. Having bees that get tangled in your hair isn't that much fun. And then the hood I have is attached to a suit, so then I have the whole suit. But none of these ladies have been upset at all if the breeze didn't blow them into my hair. I'm sure there's nobody I've run into here today that would have wanted to sting me. So we'll see how they are doing. That frame's empty. I can tell just from the weight. I would expect a lot of these to be. I could feel that weight just when it broke loose. That's empty. But I can see down in there they've got comb drawn, and there's a few ladies working on that. And somebody's gonna ask why I don't use smoke. I've tried it. RVs always seem to be more content and less panicked when I don't. Like I said, none of these have been upset at all yet, and they always seem to be more disturbed when I have used smoke. I don't know if that has something to do with our climate or the particular bees we have or what, but since it seemed to disturb them, I just haven't used it. The smoker just sits there. These are all empty ones. A lot of drawn comb, but no weight to them. There again, I could feel it's pretty much empty just from the way it came free. A little bit more activity once I get to here. Putting a little bit of nectar into that frame. Not a whole lot. And they're very calm and chill. And that one feels about the same. Another thing I like about these long style hives is that one feels similar. So just work on these. Again, I expect this to be the smallest colony. And if they seem too small, I'll end up combining them for the winter with the last one. Some capped honey there. Not a ton. If they seem to have enough bees and just need reinforcements of supplies, I'll just give them some full frames of honey and pollen out of some of the others. But if they don't seem to have enough bees yet, I'll probably combine them with the other ones so they can have a big group going into winter. This one's pretty heavy. Nice capped honey and nectar most of the way to the bottom. A little bit of capped honey and some nectar there. So this colony, despite doing a little work and crawling around a little bit on the frames from here to the back, I'd say this colony is living in these 9 frames. That's how the bigger they are right now. And they got the latest start in the year. So that is not at all unexpected. This one's heavy. Look at that. Boy, for your late start, you ladies have been busy. That's almost solid capped honey right to the bottom. And capped honey and nectar full almost to the bottom there. Teeny bit of pollen interspersed, but it's mostly capped honey. And once again, I like to just look at the bees. Be sure visually I'm not seeing anything weird going on. But so far, everyone's looked really healthy. But yeah, I don't have to open up a whole bunch of things at once. All that's ever open when I'm doing this is this little like half-inch crack between the frames. And I don't know, but I suspect that maybe helps them stay calmer. That one's heavy and has a lot of bees on it. Now we got some brood. Let's see here in the dying light. Oh, I do have a hatching bee. Can I show you this? It's right about where my thumb is. You can see its little antenna waving, and it's chewing its way right out of the cell there. That's now a full-grown larva. Its head's coming up right as I speak. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's about to crawl out if its friends quit walking over its head. Hoping the camera can see that. It's hard for me to hold the frame and see the camera. I always think it's neat to get to watch a bee actually hatch her way out into the working world. Oh, now she pulled her head back in. Gonna chew a little more. See if there's any other ones that don't have so many friends walking on their heads. Don't see any others, so again, right there, you can see her working her way out. Chewing that lid off so she can come join the crew. And there's also definitely, I don't know if that'll show up on the camera, but the last few brood are hatching here in the center. There's already new eggs laid. So, I know this one's got a queen as well. Having seen eggs now in all 4 colonies. And I could probably stop here, but I just want to get another look at how much brood we've got going on. There's a lot of capped brood, some grubs, and then new eggs on the outside edge. Yeah, looks like the same thing on this side. So they've got a good many bees. I think these ladies will probably have enough bees to go into winter, but I would guess they're going to need some honey supplies because they just haven't had enough workers for enough of the year. I'm not going to keep going to here, but I guess there should be at least 3 or so more frames of brood there, and probably a little honey and nectar in the front. Anyway, they probably would not have enough honey if we're going into winter right now, so I'd say when I go to put these to bed for the year, I will definitely steal them some supplies out of one of those first 2 hives and be sure they have plenty to get all through the winter. So I'll just put this back together and we're done. That's our hive inspection, and one lady still crawling around out here. I'm very pleased overall with what I saw. Everyone seems to be happy and healthy. Have lots of good babies going. Copious amounts of honey in the first 2 hives. Pretty decent amount in the second one. Working on honey in here. That's all expected since I know they got progressively younger as I went in order here. No, I'm not squishing her. She's up in that attic space and she can crawl down in when she wants. Anyway, that's for everyone who was wondering. That's our bee update. And I don't know if I'll get around to filming it when I put them to bed for the winter, but if you're curious about that, I do have a video of doing that the winter that we had 100% survival. So you can go see what that looks like. To be fair, I did the exact same thing as far as I could tell in the winter when we had 100% die out. So my best guess is that it was the extremely warm winter and all the thaws, which hopefully we won't have this year. So that is how the bees are doing. Thanks for spending your valuable time with us.
I hope you learned something interesting and useful.
Or found something beautiful here.